Did you know there are a lot of church buildings here in America that are pretty old?
Today we're going to show you a church building that is over 600 years older than America. Hi everyone, welcome to Around the World episode 136 with Joshua and Alyssa. We are going to show you something else in Portugal. We spent the last 2 weeks looking at things in Portugal and we have more to go. So we are going to show you today a place in Lisbon called the Lisbon Cathedral. And we showed you when we went to Canada, to Montreal, that we went to a big cathedral. We didn't get to go in it. But this one, Alyssa went in it actually, I didn't. It's down near the water there in Lisbon.
They have a cable car system, right?
They
That's
do.
what all those lines are.
Yep, and they went by while we were there. Yep. And the sad thing about it is it really messes up the picture. But you can't do anything about it because no matter how close you get or how far away you get, it's going to be in the picture.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, the Lisbon Cathedral is really old. It is the oldest church building in the city. It was built in 1147.
Oh my goodness. Was it repaired or something on the left side that the coloring is so different?
Yes, we're going to get to that. It was repaired a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this when we looked at it, but as I was looking up information about it, I found it out. So this is the front doors.
They're huge.
Yeah, but it's funny because they have like little doors inside the big doors.
They're like cat doors.
Yeah.
For people.
It's so funny. I don't know if I noticed that when I was there or not, but when I was going through the pictures, I saw it. Like, that's really funny because those are really, really big doors, but they're not open. The little doors are open. This cathedral has survived many earthquakes. Apparently, Lisbon gets a lot of earthquakes. And so this place has been renovated and restored many times, as you noticed, looking at the outside. And because of that, it is a mix of architectural styles. Being as old as it is and having had so many destructive earthquakes over the last 900 years, every time it was repaired with the architectural style basically of the day.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. This is the inside. Alyssa took this picture inside, and sadly, like all Catholic cathedrals, it's the same story. Empty, cold, lifeless when you go in. And here are some, they light the candles and they give money and it'll help out their relatives or whoever in purgatory, supposedly. So anyway, that is the Lisbon Cathedral in the central courtyard. And I think we saw this from behind when we were driving behind it. And it looked like, at first I didn't think it was the Lisbon Cathedral because the back just looked not nice and kind of like it was being dug up or something. I didn't think it was actually the Lisbon Cathedral because from behind it wasn't matching what I had seen in pictures. But they have been excavating back there, and the excavations since 1990 have showed signs of Roman, Arab, and medieval periods.
Whoa.
In fact, they found a Roman road down there with shops on either side.
Wow, so it must be a rather prominent place in the city in general that, like, it was used for all those different people groups.
Yeah, like if you find a Roman road and shops in Portugal, which is about as far away in Europe as you can get from Rome, really.
It's true.
Then it's very old and had a lot of prominence way back then and has maintained that over time. But it makes sense because it is down by the water. And so that's where all the commerce would be taking place.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting that they have all these different styles of architecture because of all the repairs that have been taking place over the years.
The streets in Lisbon are pretty crazy too.
Mhm.
Like, you can kind of see in that picture where the two buildings were really close together. Like, everything was so windy everywhere we went.
And really narrow. One of the reasons we came by here was we were just looking for parking for something else.
And then we're like, oh wow, that looks really nice.
Yeah. And then we found parking, and then we later found out we might not have actually supposed to park there, but
We didn't know.
we didn't know.
But I think one of us stayed in the car because Jaden was sleeping
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, crowded, lots of tourists, lots of locals, but it's just grown up over the years, and because there's so many buildings there, they can't widen the streets or anything. It's just,
No.
it is what it is.
Yeah, it was a mess. However, the streets all connected. I feel like there was like a Y and then,
It was.
I don't know, it was really weird.
Yeah. And this is one of those places where it's better if you can find some underground public parking and then just walk everywhere.
We put a lot of walking in that city though anyways.
We did because we couldn't park anywhere. So we finally parked far away and walked back in.
Yeah.
And we'll show you some more of that next week. But yeah.
Some cities are better like that. Some you can use the public transportation, get around really well. And some you can really just like park anywhere. And that's fine. But Lisbon was not that city.
And they had some paid parking, but you had to do it with an app. There was like no way you could just do it with a credit card like in Montreal. So I couldn't figure out how to pay, and yeah.
Well, I have a new missionary story today.
Okay, great.
And here's the cover of our missionary story. So if you know your flags of the world, you know where our missionary is going in this story eventually. But this is the story of Isabel Kuhn, and we'll find out where she's going to go. I don't think we find out today, but we will find out. We're going to start with her as Isabel Miller was her last name before she got married. So, Isabel Miller came running down the stairs and was looking everywhere in her house for her mom. And she said, Mommy, look, I found it. I found the book. Can you please read it to me? I found a whole box of books. Her mom said, well, where did you find them? She said, they were over here in a corner and I didn't know we had them with us, but now there's so many stories we have to read them all. So Isabel sat on the couch all cuddled up next to her mom, and she loved hearing her mom read stories. And even better than hearing her mom read the stories was when her mom would make up stories. She thought those were extra special. And Isabel's family had just moved. They moved to Vancouver in British Columbia in Canada. And so they were still unpacking boxes, and she was really excited that she found her books. Well, after her mom read some of the book to her, her mom went over to the piano and began to play some music. So Isabel and her brother Murray came over and they joined in the singing, and then their dad came over, and then the whole family was just there together singing songs and really just enjoying it a lot. And then after they finished some songs, they were all just kind of talking, and Isabel's mother was over at the piano and she was just kind of making up new music. And Isabel just loved listening to her mom play piano. She thought she was a great pianist, and she really liked to learn new songs because they helped out at a mission close by their house, and her dad sometimes would speak at special like gospel meetings. And Isabel said, Mommy, maybe next time we have a gospel meeting, maybe we can sing one of your songs. That would be really fun. And that's a lot of times what Isabel and her brother would get to do. They would get to sing and help out at the mission and all sorts of different things. But Isabel really liked her new home. It was hard to adjust to living in a new place and having to make new friends and everything. But she loved the mountains because they were close by the mountains, and she loved seeing a little bit of the ocean at the same time. And God had a special plan for her. He was going to take her to some mountains far, far away from British Columbia. And she didn't know that yet, but it was part of God's plan for her. Well, when she was older, Isabel went to college. And she remembered all the good times she had with her family, and she really missed them, especially when she was at college, and she felt more and more lonely. And she'd only been in college for a short time when she began to wonder if what her parents had taught her about God and the Bible and the world was actually true. Because one day, her favorite teacher said no intelligent person believes that the Bible is true and that there really is a God. You just believe that because your mom and dad told you that. That was really hard for Isabel. She just had heard these things from her parents for so long, and she thought, is that true? Do I really believe those things? Are they really true for me? Are they true for my parents? Are they true for anybody? And you have to come back next time and see what she discovers.
Sounds like... Wait, when did this take place?
I don't know if I have a date on this story. I don't think it's super
I think
old,
it's in the 20th century, so not like too long ago.
Here it says that she died in 1957.
Okay.
So, not a super long time ago.
That sounds like stuff that might happen at schools or
Yeah,
places today,
that's true.
but this was probably like 100 years ago.
Probably
Yeah.
something like that.
All right, well, we are going to show you another ministry in Athens, Greece. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the Hellenic ministries in Athens, and this is one of their ministries there that we got to see a little bit in person, and it is called the Skills Training Center. And the Skills Training Center is located in the same building where the Hellenic Ministries headquarters is, but the Hellenic Ministries is on the rooftop and the Skills Training Center is in the basement.
It's like underground.
Yeah,
Take
so
stairs to
like
get down.
5 stories below. But it's really cool. It's a nice big space, and a lot like the Threads of Hope, they teach people how to sew, but not only that, they also teach them other skills that they can learn to make a living for themselves. And so here's just a couple pictures of what the inside looks like. We don't have pictures of faces again because a lot of these women came out of difficult situations, and so they can't be seen on the internet, basically. But before we go any further, we're going to let Liliana, I believe was her name, tell us about the ministry. We did a video of her, and it's about 2.5 minutes long. So we'll let her do that, and then we will talk a little bit more before we wrap up.
My name is Liliana Bol, and we are here in Athens at Skills Training Center, which is part of Hellenic Ministry. This is the place where refugee ladies are trained to learn a skill for life. They learn sewing, soap making. We do other activities with kids like wood burning, painting, all kind of creative activities for kids. When it started was to train the ladies to do something for living, to learn to sew something, so they can have a future. When they go wherever they go, they could start a business, they could help their friends to make a living of this. That was the purpose. Also, some of them, when they finish, they get a certificate that they did this training, and they can be hired. They are prepared, also they can work for Rain Lab. Before this, the idea was to get them together, to have fellowship, and to share the gospel with them. That was where it started, actually, before the sewing. But this is how we got them together, and before every sewing lesson, we have a Bible study. It's a blessed time to be able to be together with them, to share with them, to pray with them. Yeah, we also plan to bring the kids, the young kids that are coming from the meals upstairs, and do some Bible studies. We have Bible Felt, and we are excited to start this today, actually. My biggest desire is to see them saved. Sometimes because of the short time that we spend together, some they stay longer, some they just leave. Many of them leave after a short time. So we don't exactly know what's happening. We are being in touch with some of them, but most of them we don't know. We're hoping that many of them will be able to be employed at the Brain Lab and the business to grow in this, so we will see more than that. We will see them having a better life, especially with Christ and with the job, with a good job, because this is important too.
So that gives you a good idea of the other things that they do there. In addition to the sewing, they do a lot of soap. And I think that the soap was one of our favorite things because we looked at them and we got to see the whole process. Like, it's not the normal way you would make soap. They do it like with cold.
It's like a cold press
Yeah.
process. So
Yeah.
that was really cool to learn about too.
Yeah. And then as we started like pulling them off the shelf and smelling them, there were so many that were like really nice and combinations that I wouldn't normally think of, and I smelled them. I thought, man, these are really great. So we actually bought several and used them as Christmas gifts when we came back. But yeah, that's just one of the things that they sell there. And while we were with the group, we also went in and a lot of people were able to support this ministry through buying of their different products. And yeah, it was really cool. I think not just to see what they do and what they make, but to hear Liliana talk about how she desires most of all that people would get saved. And they do Bible studies with the adults and with the children, and that's kind of how this all really started, was with that emphasis on helping these people spiritually, and it led to them also helping them out in so many different areas. So that is the Skills Training Center, which is part of Hellenic Ministries in Athens. It was a really neat place to visit and participate in the ministry by buying things from them.
Yeah, and they had like a whole little nursery room when we were there, and Jaden got to play with the kids, and they thought he was really cute and fun. I don't think they spoke English, but they had a great time playing anyways.
Yeah, baby Jaden didn't speak English at the time either. Still doesn't. But...
Oh, that's true.
So,
but the
yeah.
space is set up for moms with kids. So a lot of these moms have come out of some bad situations, and so they're trying to make a better life for their family, and they get to learn how to do a skill, something simple like soap making, and then they can move on and learn other sewing skills or other things that they could do just to learn how to make a living.
Yep, and they can leave there and go to Rain Lab or other places and basically step up to the next level of work and do even more. So that's really neat to be able to see that.
Yep. Make sure you come back next week to learn about another part of Europe, more of our missionary story, and some other ministry. We'll see you then.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.